Hi and welcome to CBN4's Primetime News Package. For today, I'm your presenter, ALYAN Christopher. Here's a look at the headlines for today. One CALYPSONIAN moves on to the finals of Dominica's CALYPSO competition after a 4-year no-show in the finals. Dominica Press Corp granted observer status for Association of Caribbean Media Workers General Assembly. An MP for the Salisbury area reacts to the Agricultural Emergency Response Grant. Stay tuned for these and other stories right here on CBN. Welcome back. First up, the Ministry of Agriculture at a recent press briefing announced that farmers and fishers who suffered loss as a result of the hurricane should visit their respective locations to receive funds meant to assist them in their line of business. Some farmers and fishermen have already benefited from this provision. There are some who claim that their names were not included on the list of beneficiaries. Some of the farmers whose names did not appear in the list indicated that they have been advised to visit the Ministry of Agriculture to state their claim.
Here at the government headquarters, ALYAN, we're witnessing a number of farmers and fishermen who seem very disgruntled that they did not receive funds from the grant assistance program that has been awarded to farmers and fishermen who were affected by Hurricane Maria. Since the passage of the deadly Category 5 hurricane, the government and its partners have implemented a program in which they will give 10,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars to large-scale farmers and $3,000 to small-scale farmers. And fishermen are said to be included in this grant assistance program. As of last week, the farmers have been collecting their checks, but for those who did not see their names on the forms, they have been directed here to the government headquarters to put in their claims. As I've been told, farmers and fishermen are asked to write a letter directed to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture stating their claims and their level of loss. Many of the farmers and fishermen complain that the extension officers did not include their names on their list. Of course, a number of persons are blaming it on differences in political sides, but as of today, we are noticing a number of farmers and fishermen here parading in front of the government headquarters with hopes of putting in their claims. They are seeking an answer from the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture to determine why their names were not included on the list of beneficiaries. Here with me is a local fisherman. He's about to tell me why he's here today. Can you state your name, sir?
My name is Joe Black from St. Joe.
And what is your occupation?
Fishing.
Tell me, why are you here today?
I'm here today because I understand they have some money for fishermen, so I come down to see what I get for myself today.
Was your name included on the list of beneficiaries?
It's supposed to be included for beneficiaries because I've been a fisherman since in the 70s.
So who asked you to come here?
My colleagues, fishermen, who came Friday and Thursday and received benefits, they asked me to go Monday to see if I get some benefit for myself.
Are you surprised by the number of people who are here today?
Oh, I'm very surprised to see the number of people at the end of the ministry in Roseau today. Yeah, I'm very surprised.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because of the storm, everybody is in need.
Yes, I'm a farmer. I farm in the Kahum constituent, in the Kahum area. And I walk in at least 5 miles every day to go on my farm.
Was your name included on the list of beneficiaries?
Yep, my name is there. And I expect what belongs to me today. I didn't come on Friday to be rushing. So today, I come get what belongs to me, and I can see nothing working out. Everybody's check your parable, seem like presently in that country presently. Everybody, all the ministers right now is Minister of Agriculture.
So is this where you were told that you should receive your check, or are you here because your name was not included on the list and you were asked to come here?
No, I go to the aid bank today and they told me I have to come here to the Ministry of Agriculture. So that's why I am. I need some report. We want to know what in that country.
Are you a little bit surprised by the amount of people who are here today?
No, I need more people over here because we have some nonsense going on in that country. I have to stop. That's what we need. It has some nonsense going on in that country. We have to put a stop to it. All ministers in the country can be Minister of Agriculture. You know what I mean? I live in Kahum. I located. I live in there from Monday to Saturday. I have see one field supervisor up till today. And all paro, all when I'm all guys in my community receiving money. So I want my partner chance, the Minister of Agriculture, and if my Prime Minister, I love him so much. Me I put him there, you know. But presently, time for business. And enough in that country. Let me alone, you know. The voice of the people in that country today is the voice of God.
Here beside me is another gentleman, a farmer who's here today at the government headquarters. Tell us, sir, what are you doing here today? What is your occupation?
Well, I'm a part-time farmer and I do electricals and a whole heap of things because you know how the country is, a person cannot survive on one, you know what I'm saying, one trade or anything. So I'm here to pick up my compensation, but it seems like there's a little skirmish. I see the officers come around. I'm wondering what's going on. But anyway, I'm still just here, pending.
How do you feel about the congestion here today? And are you the least bit surprised that there are so many people here today?
Well, actually, I'm not surprised at all because just seeing how everything is going on, things are not looking organized in this country, you know? The way I'm seeing things, people is always in a skirmish, a catastrophe all wrong for everything. Because I was wondering, why didn't they just send the monies to the councils that they know the farmers in the community that they could, you know, divert the money to the people and don't have these people in all this stuff. Because look, I am seeing it's going to be a problem.
And I do want to ask, how long do you intend to remain here?
Well, actually, looking at it, I'm not a beggar. I'm not a past person trying to fight for anything. I just come for what is my own. As my friend who just came here, our houses have been broken down because I still got a check to pick up for my home, which has been destroyed. I got 6 kids. And I mean, I'm just here. I don't know who is behind the authorities to that we could get some aid, some help.
Beside me is another local fisherman from Fort Saint-Jean, and he'd like to tell us what he's doing here today. Can you state your name?
Another local fisherman. I'm an original fisherman. Yes, I fish for 50 years. And right now they're playing a kind of way on media to give me a little money. You know, for so long I fishing. Somebody in my village, in my community that is in the fisheries, she know everybody that is fishing in the village. They give you form to come and share in the village. You're not supposed to come in the fisheries. Sit down and notify everybody. The form is there to come and do what you have to do. So they did not do that. They do whatever they want with the form. And they give whoever they want to give the form to full. And the people they give the form is not really fishermen. If you watch, they go and get money and they did not even get nothing. You know? And me that is an original fisherman, fishing for 50 years, I cannot get nothing from them.
There you have it, farmers and fishermen stating their claims today at the government headquarters, and I can tell you that it is pretty hectic getting through the gates. They've actually called the anti-crime task force to assist them because there's numerous persons here who are trying to enter the government headquarters as I speak right now. Marissa Stedman reporting at the government headquarters, CBN4 News.
3,932 farmers are set to benefit from this emergency response grant. And the events of Hurricane Maria will still linger on the minds of every Dominican who survived this monster storm on September 18, 2017 for many years to come. Many persons are still unsettled 4 months after Maria devastated the nature isle of the Caribbean. Secondary school students who are now preparing for CXC and other exams are being faced with a number of difficulties across the island. CBN4 visited the St. Mary's Academy School in the Roseau, where Miss Sylvia John Baptist, an agricultural and integrated science teacher, indicated that majority of the students are still unsettled and living under difficult circumstances.
For one, it has displaced many of my students. Even some of them have even left the island. And those who have remained, they are living under some challenging conditions. For example, some of them from the south, they do have the difficulty of, electricity and water, and even getting to school and so on. So children in the south, they have more of a challenge than some of the other students. Plus, some of them, they're still not quite settled in their work and so on, because some of them have lost textbooks and resource material and so on. They have lost some of those things, and even that feeling of well-being sometimes is not quite where it ought to be. They're still they have some amount of post-traumatic stress dealing with.
John Baptist further noted that based on what was seen from the events of the hurricane and how dependent agriculture is on nature, it therefore remains an issue with preparation for agricultural students.
Farms where we used to get information from for the poultry cost analysis, that farm got destroyed, and so it is more difficult to get that and to get records. Even some of the records those have been destroyed due to water damage or so that takes us back somewhat.
John Baptist said past data may have to be used, or another farm will have to be located in order to get up-to-date information so that the students could use for SBAs and at the CXC examinations. The newly formed Dominica Press Corps has been granted observer status ahead of the Association of Caribbean Media Workers General Assembly in Barbados in March. The Media Workers Association of Dominica EMMANUEL's membership as a full-fledged member of the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, the ACM, has been suspended. This follows a meeting with both EMMANUEL and the Dominica Press Corps and the ACM earlier this month. The ACM handed out its decision last week, where several key points were considered. 1. The legal standing and official recognition of the organizations. 2. The representative spread of the respective membership bases. 3. The independence of the organizations to play the role of defender of press freedom. 4. The current operational status of the organizations. Neither the Dominica Press Corps or EMMANUEL met all criteria. However, the president of the newly formed Dominica Press Corps, Gavin Richards, indicated in a statement that things are being put in place by the Dominica Press Corps in order to be full-fledged members.
Work to do to get things in place if we are to become a full-fledged member of the Caribbean Media Workers Association. I can say that we have our annual general meeting scheduled for this Saturday, the 3rd of February at the UE Open Campus. And of course, this is one of the steps that we had to take to become a full-fledged member, to have our first annual general meeting and also to present a constitution. So we are putting things in place where we can become full-fledged members, and we're hoping to get that done as soon as possible.
And for the purpose of the General Assembly in March, the ACM took the following decisions. 1. EMMANUEL's membership status as a full-fledged national association is now suspended pending regulations of its operations. Focal point status will now be accorded Mr. Carlyle John Baptist. The Dominica Press Corps will be permitted representation at the Assembly bearing observer status. And 3. Both organizations will be given the opportunity to resubmit an expression of interest in becoming a full-fledged member organization by September 30th, 2018. And stay tuned, there's more news coming your way right after this break. And welcome back to CBN4's Primetime News Package. 8-time Calypso monarch of Dominica, Dennison Dice Joseph, says that the statement "Calypso is social commentary" means that Calypsonians have the right to sing on any issue confronting the people and the country. Dice remarked that he was informed through a written letter from the Dominica Festivals Commission that he will no longer be required to perform at the Carnival Street Festival, which was held on Friday. Stated that the Festivals Committee was well aware of the content of his song before signing a contract. He says that he believes the decision was taken to please some in authority or within the private sector who felt sensitive about the subject.
Well, I don't believe it's the DFC though. I believe the DFC was instructed, because DFC is Dominica Festival Committee. So there's a manager, and there's maybe sub-managers, and there's maybe influencers or whatever they call it, people that is of influence in Dominica that might, the DFC might have to kiss their hands or something like that, and they might say, you know what, I don't really like that song, and the scene that I'm sponsoring, how they say it, is the whoever pays the whatever that plays the tune, yeah, I was saying like that. But like somebody paying you, so they that can tell you what to do, you know. So the DFC is the whoever told the DFC that I'm not supposed to perform my song. I think they use the DFC to get to me, but it's not to say it's the decision of the DFC. I don't believe so.
No,
Dice added that he is not swayed by such matters. He laments that he has always sung on controversial subjects that confront the people of Dominica, and he intends to do just that. Dice added that Calypsonians refuse to be told what they can and cannot sing.
Give me a contract to tell me as an artist. Actually, that's why they gave me a letter after, because I was kind of telling them that you cannot tell me what to sing. You will not tell me what to sing. I come on the stage and I choose my songs and I sing them, because all my songs is good songs. It might just have a problem with some individual's ego, but not because it has a problem with one or two people's egos. We're going to make the masses suffer for the few, you know. So since I told them if I go on the stage, I will sing the song that of this year, then they had to give me in writing that, you know, anyway, they gave me in writing that my services are no longer required, but they will pay me anyhow. So they kind of pay me for not singing a song that nobody had a problem with, which is dumb. I know.
The 8-time Calypso monarch revealed that every Calypsonian has to deal with persons who are for and against their song. He said that by no means does that indicate that the masses should be denied the right to enjoy Calypso during Carnival season.
You know, people like the leader of the private sector, what's his name? I can't remember his name. This guy. It could be them, because they are the ones the looting kind of affect the most, and they are the ones that tend to forget that they was looting before the hurricane. When you're buying something for 3 for 10 and selling one for 150 for your own people, you is a looter. Actually, you're not a looter, you're a thief. So they have been thieving before, but when they looting some common because somebody get a chance to take something that they need, so that they lose everything for one day because a hurricane passed, they want to make them feel bad. And I guess maybe it's they alone that could influence the DFC to do something to prevent the people from getting what they want like that.
How popular is it?
Dice says that he knows that his song Luther is a favorite. He says that he thanks the DFC and the private sector for making it even more popular. Meantime, EMMANUEL SALAMAT says that he is overjoyed that the judges were able to notice that his song had a powerful melody and awarded him the right to perform at the Calypso Finals 2018. He indicated to CBN4 that it has been 4 years since he last made it to the Calypso Finals. He stated at this year's Calypso competition, he is hoping to spread a message and intends to do that in his rendition of his second song.
I have loads of songs, but the thing is, I want to say certain things that I feel need to be said. I've heard people's songs and I need to give some answers, and I need to put some people in their place. so I'm making a song that is relevant to that.
The CALYPSONIAN says that he is satisfied with the judge's ruling on his behalf. Hicks revealed that his melody and lyrics have always been original, as opposed to some other CALYPSONIANs who recite lyrics and appear on stage with the same melody. He notes that there are times when he is dissatisfied with the judges, since many times these things go unnoticed.
Everybody performed, they really performed. It was a tough show and I was holding my breath. That wasn't my best performance, but having the best song, the best melodic song works. Remember, I'm always original, you know. I don't do nothing if it's sounding like another person's song. I hash it and chop it to make it sound like me, like Hicksy. I don't sing recycled melodies. I don't sing recycled lyrics. I don't do like the people, they do that. I hear some songs and I know that song and they beat me by a mile. I don't do that. And the judges are connoisseurs of Calypso. They listen to every Calypso, they probably listen to every Trinidad Calypso and every Calypso. And yet I am surprised that they do not see that melodies and lyrics are not original. They cannot see that. That is my only problem with it.
Hicksy, who is also one of the executives of the Calypso Association, says that overall he is pleased with the results of the show. Here's a short clipping of Hicksy's performance at the semi-finals.
In this year of reunion, we got to come together as one. One people, one heart, one mind, one nation. Free up ourselves from the yoke of jealousy and hate. All for each for all is the anthem of this day. And now it's time to give, my brother, no time to take. Get down on your knees, my sister, come let we pray. Put aside all religion before it's too late. For why people only say, oh Lord, Zaki South.
And also in the news, the general elections of the National Youth Council of Dominica, which was originally carried for September 30th, 2017, now has a new date. The original date for the general elections had to be called off due to the passage of Hurricane Maria on September 18th. The communications officer for the National Youth Council, Paul Barron, indicated that the General Assembly brings a culmination of the various district youth councils and registered youth groups throughout the island. He further notes that each youth group is required to send 2 delegates to the General Assembly, whereby voting rights will be given.
The General Assembly sets the stage for the transition from one executive to the next. That is carded for the 28th of April. We're still finalizing the venue. It would either be at the Newtown Primary or the Grammar School Auditorium grounds. So partly we are elated for that purpose. We recognize going forward that young persons in Dominica continuously requires a voice, and the council as such seeks to do just that, where we can represent their interests.
Paul said one has to be nominated in order to be elected for any particular position in the NYCD. The communications officer was nominated along with 2 other members of the National Youth Council for the role of president.
Your involvement in youth work in Dominica, your collaborative efforts with various agencies and such, and your general willingness to serve, because the council is more or less about service before self. You understand? It's almost holistically a voluntarily based institution in that sense. So if you have the willingness and the passion, the drive to serve Dominica's youth, then you're nominated by an individual, and at the General Assembly, votes will be cast towards your nomination, whereby you would either be successful or unsuccessful in attaining a particular position.
The positions to vie for are the President, First Vice President, the Publicity Coordinator, Treasurer, Secretary, and lots more. Parliamentary representative for the Salisbury, Coolibri and Montrachet constituencies, Hector John, has expressed that any assistance given to farmers and fishers by the government of Dominica is more than welcomed. However, John said his only concern and disappointment about the assistance to the farmers, better known as an agricultural emergency response grant, is the manner in which it was done.
The funds from the World Bank were given to the farmers, and that started sometime last week, Tuesday, when farmers from the West agricultural region that includes Dublin to Salisbury got the disbursement, and they started expressing their concerns. And as a member of Parliament for Salisbury, Coolibri and Montrachet, I was contacted, and I had to listen to the farmers, and they were very disappointed how things transpired. And what from that day I began to understand the process, and the biggest problem we had was the initial sales process, how it started. You don't ask people to come register as farmers. You utilize your extension officers to identify the different farmers, know the farms, the locality of the farm, the acreages, and the different produce that they have. And that was the problem. But it was done the other way around. Farmers were called, people were called to register as farmers.
Hector John further indicated that there were a lot of inconsistencies with the disbursement of the funds. He noted that a lot of persons who are not farmers and fishers receive funds from the program. At a recent press conference, the minister responsible for agriculture, Johnson Drygo, stated that under the Agricultural Emergency Response Grant, 900 farmers will receive EC $10,000 each, while 3,032 farmers will receive $3,000 each from the World Bank funded program.
Began looking at it from a political perspective. A community like Salisbury, we know all our farmers in Salisbury. And there are some farmers who are commercial farmers who have been selling to hucksters for years. They had some benchmarks that they said, saying that farmers should, for you to be considered as a commercial farmer, you should be selling to Dexter or to the supermarkets. But what about the farmers who are selling tons and tons of produce on a weekly basis to the hucksters? What do you consider them as? As a small farmer? And from there you had the sponsor. So you had the lack of respect for the extension officers, or the lack of trust for the extension officers, and also you had the benchmarks. They were not consistent. If you want to get the commercial farmers, you need to look at every angle where these farmers sell their produce, and that is a concern to us, as to me as a member of Parliament, and as the member of Parliament for one of the most productive, vibrant farming communities on the island.
The Member of Parliament noted that the funds from the World Bank funded program should have been utilized properly to give fisher folks and farmers the support to go back to the boats and farms.
Appointment. What's you going to get? Farmers going to leave their farms. Fishermen going to say they give up. They're no longer going to get involved. So your level of productivity on island going to decrease. Your level of food production going to decrease. And you're going to have a bigger problem on your hand. But if you had that money and it was properly disbursed, you would not have the problem. Right now, below downstairs, the ministerial building, government headquarters, have over 100 farmers expressing their concerns. Last week, Friday, you had a lot came up to town. Now you have disbursement taking place in CALYPSO for farmers from Concord to CALYPSO. Tomorrow, you're going to have some more farmers on their hands. It cannot be. I think if it was done properly, you would have a few farmers who have concerns. You would get the information from them and go back to the farm, and do proper evaluation and see if they already qualify. But no, something that happened as well. You have civil servants, public officers, they're saying, because you have a source of income, you not get money. But from the word go, you never told them that. So they went, they benefited farmers and fisher folks. So they went out there and they got the forms and ensure that they provide the information needed to be qualified. But now they're hearing they're disqualified. And it's just total disrespect and a total flaw in the system. Because this information should have been disseminated earlier. What I found out as well from the office or the DVRP is that they would have sent out a communication to the farmers to let them know who qualified or who didn't qualify. Every farmer had to go to that place where they said they were paying, and some of them waste an entire day. They wasted an entire day where they could have spent that time in their farm, or maybe go to town and file a complaint and go back to their farms. So you have hundreds of farming hours being wasted by such a poor program. So that is why, as the member of parliament and coming from a farming community, I had to represent the best interests of my farmers.
Farmers and fishermen who did not meet the criteria of commercial or small commercial farmers will be given an amount of $1,000 per beneficiary. That's the end of today's Primetime News package. On behalf of the entire CBN4 team, I am ALYAN Christopher saying thank you for watching.